Hey, y'all. We are on Pave the Trail day 85. Can you believe that we have learned 85 different concepts this year? Wow, your brains are amazing. And the fact that you're going to remember how to do this is so cool. Okay, so yesterday we learned how to find the height. I gave you the area instead of asking for the area, and you kind of had to work backwards. And the way we do that is we start with the formula. So this shape is not a triangle, not a parallelogram, because those sides would definitely touch. So it is a trapezoid, meaning I'm going to pull out the recipe card for a trapezoid, which is 1/2 base plus base times height, right? Okay, that means that I have the area. So I'm going to start with 216 equals 1/2. My bases are 20 plus 16, and it's the height that I do not know. Always am going to do parentheses first. So that'll give me 36. 1/2 times 36h equals 216. Now, before I go over and divide it by 216, I'm going to make sure that I do everything I can over on this side of the equation first. Half of 36 is 18h. That gives me 216. How do I now get the h isolated so I can figure out what the height is? I'm going to do the opposite. That was times h, so I'm going to divide 216 divided by 18 is 12, a beautiful 12. 12 centimeters, and it's just centimeters. It is seriously just that straight line. So I'm not counting how many squares are inside. I just want to know how high it is. Okay. Biggest mistake I see here is that kids don't do the 1/2 and they go 216 divided by 36, and it gives them the wrong answer. Yeah, it gives them 6. So if you got 6, it's because you forgot the 1/2 part. You got a 1/2 the 36, then divide it over. Okay? All right, area of a trapezoid. Hey, that's nice. We just did a trapezoid. So it's the same formula, 1/2. What are my two bases? The two bases are the ones that are parallel with each other. So the 4 and the 6. 4 plus 6 times 6, that'll give me 12. Half of 12 will give me 6 times 6 equals 36 centimeters. Is this one squared now? Yes, because we're finding the area. Oh, I didn't even give you instructions on that. Instructions are find the area. Oops. This one has instructions. Find the area. It is a triangle. So we are going to go 1/2 times 6 times 17. Half of 6 is 3. 3 times 17 is 51 feet squared. And before that, parallelograms. Parallelograms are easy. It's just base times height. 1.2 times 8.3 equals, and don't you love that I have started to let you use calculators? This makes your life so much easier. 9.96. Did I put that in right? Yeah. And that will give me meters squared. Cool. An online bookstore charges $2 to ship any book. Write an equation for this situation. Create an XY chart where Y equals the total cost and X equals the book cost. Okay, so the equation is going to be Y equals X stands for the books, and books are charges $2 to ship any book. Okay, so here's the book. And then I'm going to add $2 to ship it. Does that make sense? So if I find out that the book is $10, then it's going to be 10 plus 2. It's going to be $12 for my book. That makes sense. What if the book was like $100? Well, then it's $100 plus $2 to ship that book, 102. Okay, that makes sense to me. All right, so now let's make that XY chart. If I just buy one book, like I said, it would be hold on. if the book was $1, that's right, because the book, X is the book cost, and Y is the book cost, and the Y is the total cost. Okay, so if the book is $1, then it will only cost me $3 for the book. What if the book, like we said earlier, what if the book is $10? Well, then it will cost $12. If the book is $100, we found out it'd be $102. If the book is what, $5, add $2 for shipping. Okay, that makes sense to me. So there's your XY chart. You could graph that now if you wanted. Ooh, graph the inequality. We're back to inequalities. X is greater than or equal to -3. So we're going to start by circling -3. And then we want to cover everything that is greater than -3. So is this great? No, those are not greater than -3. But -2 is, and -1. All of these numbers are greater than -3. And remember the cool trick? That little symbol right there is going to match up with that little symbol right there if you have the variable first. Now, the last thing I got to know is, do I fill it in or do I leave it open? Well, because it's less than or equal to, we're going to fill it in. Because if X was equal to -3, that would be a solution. So we want to include it in our graph and say -3 works, plus all of these numbers bigger than -3, they also work. Solve for X. That means I need to isolate the variable. What's the opposite of +18? -18, because that will make it so my X is now isolated, but then because it's an equation and I want to keep things equal, I need to do the exact same thing to the other side. So I get 278. And I could check it. 278 plus 18 is 296, which is what I started with. So boom, checked, correct. X is 278. 20 lessons ago, rewrite. Doesn't say to evaluate. Doesn't say to simplify. So we just need to rewrite it in some way. We need to do something to it. The first thing I noticed, hopefully you did too, is that we have an angry bird and we have some pigs inside, don't we? So let's use the distributive property to distribute the pain. 5 times 2h would be 10h. Bring down the plus. 5 times 3 would be 15. And then we have this over here by itself. Okay, now, would you see the h's? 12h plus 15. So we did rewrite it. This is the exact same as this. We just rewrote it. Okay, but if you told me h equals 2, if I plugged in the 2 right there and right there, I would get the same answer as if I plugged in the 2 right there. Okay, so that is what it means to rewrite. All right, 40 lessons ago, more fractions, decimals, percents. 1/5 as a percent. Option 1, fractionating, control that to a decimal. That would give me 0.2. And then Dr. Pepper it, decimal percent to 20%. That's option 1. Option 2 is to biglify 5 to 100 times by 20 times by 20. 20 over 100 is 20%. Okay. What is 325,000 written as a percent? So we're at the decimal. We want to get it to a percent. Dr. Pepper, we're going to move the decimal that direction. So we get 32.5%. 60 lessons ago, I was teaching you negatives. The low temperatures in Hiram over 4 days were -1 degree Fahrenheit, -2 degrees, -4 degrees, and 0 degrees Fahrenheit. Order these temperatures from least to greatest. So least, if we're talking about temperature, is the coldest temperature. The temperature is the one that, the coldest temperature is the one that's furthest away from 0 in the negatives, right? Which would be -2 degrees. That is the coldest temperature. It's the least temperature. And we have a -1 degree, then we have 0, and then the warmest, the greatest temperature will be the warmest, the biggest, the most furthest away from 0 in the positive direction, which would be 4. So that is your order from least to greatest. What is the least common multiple? which is not the birthday cake, right? Birthday cake is greatest common factor. Okay, multiples. What are multiples? Those are what you skip count by, right? The multiples of 5 are 5, 10, 15, 20. So the multiples of 15 would be 15, 30, 45, 60, and you could keep going, right? Multiples of 12 are 12, 24. You can look at your multiplication chart for this, 36, 48, and 60. I'm going to stop because I want the smallest one that they have in common, which is 60. That is the least common multiple of 12 and 15. Booyah. Good work.